You know, there's something I've noticed about so many wonderful people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. They have the biggest hearts, always saying yes to family, to friends, even to strangers who need a helping hand. And that's beautiful, really. But here's the thing. If you're always saying yes to everyone else, when do you finally say yes to yourself? I'll bet you've felt it. That slow drain on your energy, that quiet frustration when you realize you've stretched yourself too thin again. Maybe it's agreeing to babysit the grandkids when you were really looking forward to a quiet afternoon, or saying yes to a favor for a neighbor even though your back was aching that day. Or perhaps it's that friend who always seems to call when they need something, and before you know it, you're listening to their problems for an hour when you just wanted to sit down with a cup of tea. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. Constantly saying yes when you want to say no doesn't make you a better person. It just leaves you exhausted, sometimes even resentful. And that's not how you deserve to feel, especially now, when life should be about peace, joy, and doing what truly matters to you. So today, let's talk about how to set gentle but firm boundaries. Not to push people away, but to protect your energy, your time, and your happiness. Because you've spent decades caring for others. Isn't it time to care for yourself too? Now, the word boundaries might sound a little intimidating. Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to seem selfish, or what if people get upset? But here's the thing. Boundaries aren't about being harsh or unloving. They're about respect. Respect for others, yes, but also respect for your own needs. And the people who truly care about you will understand that. So let's start with the first boundary. And this one is so important, especially as we get older. Boundary number 1. Your time is not up for grabs. Time is precious at any age, but after 60, it becomes something even more valuable. You've worked hard, raised families, maybe even cared for aging parents, and now, these years should be yours. But too often, we treat our time like it's an endless resource, saying yes to every request without thinking. Here's how to change that. The next time someone asks for your time, whether it's a favor, an event, or even just a long phone call, pause. Don't answer right away. Instead, ask yourself, do I really want to do this? And be honest. If the answer is no, or even not really, then it's okay to say so. You don't need a dramatic excuse. A simple, I'm sorry, I can't this time, is enough. No guilt, no over-explaining. And if that feels too hard at first, try this. Give yourself permission to say, let me check my schedule and get back to you. That way, you're not committing in the moment, and you can decide later what's truly right for you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if they need me? And sure, there are times when we want to help, and that's wonderful. But if you're always putting others first at the expense of your own peace, that's not sustainable. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that brings us to boundary number 2. Your energy is not infinite. Let's be real. Energy changes as we age. What was easy at 50 might feel exhausting at 65, and that's okay. It's not a weakness, it's just life. But too often, we push through anyway, ignoring our own limits because we don't want to disappoint anyone. Here's the shift. Start treating your energy like the valuable resource it is. If you're tired, it's okay to rest. If an activity drains you, it's okay to skip it. And if someone expects you to keep up the way you did 20 years ago, well, it's okay to gently remind them, and yourself, that those days are gone. Try this. The next time you're invited to something that you know will leave you worn out, give yourself permission to decline. You might say, that sounds lovely, but I need to take it easy today. No apologies needed. And if you do go, set a time limit. I'll stop by for an hour, but then I'll need to head home. This isn't about missing out. It's about making sure you still have energy left for the things you love. Now, these first two boundaries are all about protecting your time and energy. But there's one more we need to talk about, one that might feel a little harder at first, but is just as important. And that's where we'll pick things up next. Because setting this final boundary, it could change everything about how you experience your relationships and your peace of mind. You know, one of the most beautiful things about getting older is the wisdom that comes with it. You've learned what matters: real connections, peace of mind, and living in a way that feels true to you. But here's the tricky part. Sometimes, the people in our lives don't always see that. They still expect us to be the same person we were 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Always available, always accommodating, always putting their needs first. And that's where this next boundary comes in. Boundary number 3. You don't have to fix everyone's problems. This one hits close to home for so many of us, doesn't it? Whether it's a grown child who still turns to you for every little crisis, a friend who dumps their worries on you every time you talk, or even a sibling who expects you to mediate family drama. It's easy to fall into the role of the fixer. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for solving everyone else's struggles. And constantly trying to, it can leave you feeling drained, anxious, and even a little unappreciated. Now, I'm not saying you should stop caring. Love and support are what make life rich. But there's a big difference between listening and carrying the weight for someone else. So how do you set this boundary without feeling like you're shutting people out? Start with a simple shift in how you respond. Instead of jumping in with advice or taking on their stress as your own, try saying something like, "That sounds really tough. What do you think you'll do?" This keeps the responsibility where it belongs, with them, while still showing you care. And if someone repeatedly leans on you for problems, they could and should handle themselves. It's okay to gently redirect. You might say, "I know this is hard, but I trust you'll figure it out." At first, this might feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being the go-to problem solver. But over time, you'll notice something amazing. The people who truly value you, and not just what you do for them, will adjust. And those who don't? Well, that tells you something important. Now let's talk about a boundary that doesn't get discussed enough, but it's so important for keeping your relationships healthy and your heart light. Boundary number 4. You get to choose who shares your space. As we get older, our time and our peace become even more precious. And that means we absolutely get to decide who we let into our homes, our phone calls, and even our conversations. Maybe it's the relative who always leaves you feeling criticized, the friend who turns every chat into a complaint session, or even the neighbor who drops by unannounced, just when you were settling into your favorite chair with a good book. Here's the thing. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. If someone consistently brings stress instead of joy, it's okay to create distance. That doesn't mean you have to be harsh or cut them off completely, but you can set limits. For example, if drop-in visitors disrupt your peace, try saying, "I'd love to see you, but let's plan a time that works for both of us." If a conversation starts veering into negativity, gently steer it elsewhere. "I'd rather focus on the good stuff today. How's your garden coming along?" And if certain people just always leave you feeling drained, it's okay to see them less. Your well-being matters. This isn't about being unkind. It's about honoring the fact that your energy, your home, and your peace are yours to protect. Now, these boundaries might feel challenging at first, especially if you've spent a lifetime putting others first. But here's what I want you to remember. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you're saying yes to yourself, to more energy, more joy, and more of the life you want to live. And that brings us to one last powerful boundary, one that ties everything together. But before we get into that, let's take a quick pause. Think about how these first 4 boundaries might change things for you. Which one feels the most needed in your life right now? Because when we come back, we're going to talk about the boundary that makes all the others possible, and how to start putting them all into practice, starting today. You know, there's something truly liberating about reaching this stage of life. The years have given you perspective. You understand what matters, what doesn't, and most importantly, what you simply won't tolerate anymore. But here's the boundary that ties all the others together. The one that might feel the most uncomfortable at first, but ultimately brings the deepest peace. Boundary number 5. You don't need to justify your choices. How many times have you found yourself over-explaining? I can't come because I don't want to, because I'm saying no because... We often treat our personal boundaries like they're negotiable, as if we need a good enough reason for choosing ourselves. But here's the truth. No is a complete sentence. I don't want to is reason enough. That family reunion that exhausts you every year. You don't owe anyone a detailed medical history to justify skipping it. That friend who pressures you into commitments. You don't need to craft the perfect excuse. A simple, "that doesn't work for me," is all you need to say. This is where real freedom begins. When you release the need to make others comfortable with your boundaries. Will some people push back? Probably. But the ones who matter will respect your honesty. And those who don't? Well, their reaction isn't your responsibility. Now, I won't pretend this is easy. If you've spent a lifetime being the accommodating one, setting these boundaries might feel like you're rocking the boat. But think of it this way. You're not causing waves. You're finally steadying the ship. So how do you start putting this into practice? Begin small. The next time you're asked to do something you'd rather not, pause. Notice that instinct to justify and gently challenge it. Try responding with warmth but firmness. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'll have to pass this time. No drama, no guilt, just clarity. And when that inner voice whispers, "But what will they think?" remind yourself, you are not responsible for other people's expectations. Your worth isn't measured by how much you sacrifice. As we wrap up, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 6 months from now, living with these boundaries in place. How much lighter might you feel? How much more energy would you have for the people and activities that truly light you up? That life isn't just possible, it's yours to claim. Remember, boundaries aren't walls. They're the gates that let the good in while keeping the draining things out. And you, my friend, deserve that kind of peace. So today, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these boundaries resonates most? Or maybe you've already started setting some. How's it going? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might inspire someone else. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know what matters to you. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're building a community here of people who believe that life after 60 isn't about slowing down. It's about living smarter, happier, and truer to ourselves. Here's to your peace, your freedom, and the beautiful boundary-filled life ahead. Until next time, take care of you. You've earned it.